Hey there, friends. Welcome. I'm Cerise, and this is story time. Guys, you're going to have to squeeze your butt cheeks. This one is just a little out of the ballpark. Yes, twisted, scary, but at the same time, filled with revenge, love, and marriage. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, and tune in to this story time. Okay, so for confidentiality purposes, we are going to give the characters fictitious names. We're going to name them Jack and Jill. But let's give you the background on each character. So we have Jack. Jack is an American young guy, 35 years old, retired from the police force in New York, came here to live, and now he's doing stocks and stuff like that online. Okay, then we have Jill. Jill, she's 28 years old. Her history is a little interesting. So she originally was born in Canada. Her dad, Jamaican, her mom, Italian. Her dad died and her mom moved here to be with her only sister. Okay, her sister, also Italian, was married to a Dominican man. Now, Jill's mother, when she moved here, that was her only family member in the world, was her sister, because their mother had died. So Jill was raised with her aunt and her mother. Then her mother died, and Jill was raised with her aunt and also her uncle, her Dominican uncle. She was raised very well, very happy. She was raised in Dominican culture. She was very young when her mom died here. So Jill learned Spanish. She already knew English and Italian. So she was working in her aunt's bar, chilling out, and that's when Jack walked in. And when she met Jack, she was like, oh my gosh, she fell in love. And it was the same for Jack, love at first sight. They developed a very intense, passionate relationship immediately. And it was on fire. Very common here in the Dominican Republic. Love ignites quickly. So it did for them, like I said, and they moved out to Puerto Plata, and they were living in a nice neighborhood, and they were chilling. He's making his money online, and, she's going into work every day for her aunt, and they had a beautiful relationship. For Jill, it was the fairy tale relationship that she always wanted. She was dreaming of marriage. She was dreaming of children. She was not fooling around. This woman was in love, and so was Jack. So now fast forward. They're together for a year, and Jack needed to fly back to America so he could do some business. He went back to America, and when he got back there, he had a little one-night stand with his ex-girlfriend. He really felt sorry for it. As soon as he got back here to the Dominican Republic, he asked Jill to marry him. Yes, and then, they got married. But you know what? On her wedding night, somebody messaged her out of the blue and said, you are marrying my future husband. You are just a hoe. Messaged her on WhatsApp out of the blue. She had no clue who this person was. She saw the picture and everything. So, it was on WhatsApp. It was the true number. It was an American number. So she didn't know what to do. She showed it to Jack on their wedding night. Oh my gosh. And Jack looked at her and said, I'm sorry. And not only that, wait, let me back up. This woman that said, you are marrying my husband, she sent photos of them together and everything, and it was like really good receipts. They weren't old photos. It was photos with him and his newer tattoos that he got here in the Dominican Republic. So they were up-to-date photos, and Jill knew that because Jill was with him when he got some of those tattoos. So yeah, it was, she couldn't believe it. And he looked at her and he said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, he didn't know what else to say. He's like, that's my ex. I don't know what she wants. And that was it. He said, she's just trying to cause problems. And he wouldn't say yes that it happened, that he cheated. He just said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this has to happen on our wedding night. I don't want that woman. She's my ex. She probably caught wind that we're getting married and she's just trying to cause problems. I don't even know how she got your phone number, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So that was it. Jill let it go as much as she could. But then it started to haunt her more and more. And he noticed that she was going through something, but he didn't know what it was. And so he said to her, he's like, you know what? Let's make a baby. Because he thought that was the thing, he thought maybe she's ready for one. And they were discussing it somewhat. And so he said, you know what, baby, I love you so much. Let's have a baby. Let's start our family. And he thought that she would just jump for joy. But she was like, okay, and he really didn't know what was up with her. So now Christmas time comes around, and he wanted to give her a little gift, a big Christmas gift. So he had something put on, like an extension put on their home, and it was a sewing shop. She makes a lot of different styles. She sews very well, bathing suits and nice clothing, and she does custom clothing, and it's amazing. She even makes some outfits for festivals. So she's good at what she does. And he thought she could have her own shop outside of their villa, like an extension on their home, and she could set up a pool and stuff of that nature. And that is exactly what he did. He had that built for her. Now, there were 2 construction workers building this place. One construction worker she noticed was always off somewhere doing something else. Like he was always off getting more supplies or, on the property. So one day she goes over to the shop that's being put together, and she says to one of the construction workers, where's the other construction worker? And he said, oh, he's out using the washroom right now. And she's like, okay. And she's like, I'm going to catch this guy. So she walked around, and she started to walk around the grounds. They have a nice villa, lots of, just so spacious. And so she walks to the part of the villa where the gym is located. And she can see the guy at a window of the gym peeking in. Now, if there was someone in the gym, wouldn't be able to see him, but he could see from the little crevice into the gym. And he was standing up on a stool, and he was fiddling himself inside his pants. And she watched him for a minute. She's like, what is he doing? So she goes over to him, and she's like, excuse me, what are you doing? And he's like, and he fell off the stool. And he was on the ground, and he was just looking at her, and he didn't know what to say. She jumped up on the stool, and she looked into the gym. And she saw that Jack was working out. And Jack likes to work out in the nude. Why not? It's their villa. He doesn't think anyone's going to be looking in their window, right? So she's like, you are looking at my husband, aren't you? And he's like, and he didn't know what to say. She just glared at him. She was so angry. But then all of a sudden, she got an idea. Now, this idea is a whole other level of crazy. And ladies, I'm wondering if you would agree with her on this level of craziness, because I sure cannot. Sure as heck cannot. Like, I am just like, this one, a whole other level of crazy, like I said. All right, let's move forward. So she looks at him, and with this idea she gets, she says, do you want my husband? And he's like, what? Well, and she's like, no, seriously. Do you want my husband? Do you want to take advantage of him for the night? I will let you. I want to get revenge on him for cheating, and I think this will teach him a big lesson. And he was like, I can't. And she's like, listen, I will pay you 5,000 pesos. And I will also make sure that you don't have to do anything except come in the side door where the kitchen is The door will be unlocked. Go straight through the house to the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs, you will find a mask. You will find twist ties, like plastic twist ties. You will also find gloves and a tool to hit him with if, he gets a little too rambunctious, because Jack was a strong man, is a strong man. So the guy looks at her and he's like, when do you want me to do this? And she said, tonight. And he's like, all right. The fool does it. Anyway, I don't want to get to this spoiler alert. So he shows up. Well, what she does that night, Jill, she decides that she's going to put a little pill inside of Jack's wine to knock him out a little bit, make him groggy. Well, it did. And he went upstairs and he told her, well, I'm just so tired. That wine must have really laid me out. He's like, I had a big workout today. He's like, I'm just so tired. I'm going to go to bed, baby. And she's like, all right. She went to bed with him. So later on that night, all of a sudden, he comes into the house. The construction worker comes into the house. Now, Jill heard him go into the house, but Jack was still sleeping. Normally, Jack is a light sleeper, and he hears everything. So she knew the pills were working. Now, the guy gets upstairs into the bedroom, opens the bedroom door, gets right into the bedroom, and he is kind of looking through the dark. And then Jill gets up out of the bed. Jack's still not awake. Jill grabs the guy by the arm, whispers in his ear, all right, are you ready? And he's like, yeah. And she says, okay. And then she screams. Jack wakes up and Jack's like, what? And she's like, honey, oh my gosh. And he's like, what? And she's like, you have to stand up. And he's like, what? And he's like totally out of it. He's all groggy. He can't even stand up. She grabs him by one arm, grabs him by the other arm, ties his arms behind his back, and she says, there's a robber, and he said I have to tie you up. And the husband's like, well, don't do that. Jack looks around the room, and it's still kind of dark, and he's still kind of groggy. He's not used to any of the darkness yet, And then what happened was she turns on a little flashlight that she had, and she's like, look. And he looks over and he's kind of seeing things, and she like flashes the light right in his eyes. Just flashes the flashlight right in Jack's eyes. And Jack's like, whoa, what are you doing? He's totally out of it. He gets pushed to the ground by the construction worker, and she runs downstairs into the kitchen. She waited and waited. She heard Jack crying, moaning, and then nothing. And then the guy went downstairs. She handed him 5,000 pesos, and he left. That was it. She went upstairs and she snapped off the plastic twist ties, and she said to him, do you want me to call the police? She knew Jack, a proud guy, was not ever going to want to call the police. A little bit of music for you guys in the background there. It is a Sunday here in the north coast of the Dominican Republic. So she knew he wouldn't want to call the police. Puerto Plata, Sosua, all this whole province here is quite small, and the police officers will talk amongst each other, and they will point him out in the street, and they'll be like, yeah, that gringo, he was the one that was raped. You know what I mean? He was the one that was taken advantage of in his bed by a man. Like, he didn't want anybody talking about that, because it's not that the police officers would be saying it in order to mock him. They would be saying it in order to spread the news, just in case they hear anything. That's who the criminal is. That's, the person that they need to get. So in any case, he did not report it. He said, please do not report it. They beefed up the security in their home and went on with life until Jill was not able to conceive, and she really wanted a baby, because at this point she felt it was all fair game. He cheated on her and she got him back. She just felt like there was some type of even Steven in that deal. Like, wow. But in any case, she couldn't get pregnant, and she was having a very difficult time. And she went to the campo, the countryside here, and they gave her some liquids to drink and everything to help clear out her uterus. And then she went to a reader here, someone that does readers like in the botanical stores and everything, and they told her that there's something evil that she did and needs to admit to it before she will get pregnant. Now, I don't know about you guys, but you know, that's just a whole other can of worms we don't want to open up right now. Listen to the voodoo child one, that story that I did. But in any case, this is along the same lines. She went to like a person that does voodoo and all that stuff, right? In any case, they told her that she did something in her lifetime that she needs to admit to. So she did. She really wanted the baby. That night when she went home, she was crying and crying and crying. She got drunk and she, built herself up to it. And she said to him, "Baby, listen, do you remember when that man took advantage of you?" He said, "Yes." And she told him. And guess what? He forgave her. He said, "Why did you do something like that?" She said, "Because I was so angry that you cheated." And he said, "And you didn't go cheat on me?" She said, "No, I could never do that to you. I love you." And he's like, "What? And you did that to me?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry." But he forgave her. He did. He said, "Okay." He said, "Just don't tell me who the guy was, because I just might hurt him." And that's it. Guys, can you believe that? What would you do in a situation like that? I mean, I know there's love, and I know there's messed up love, and I know there's forgiveness, and I know there's cheating, and oh gosh, I know all kinds of crazy exists in the world. But this is a different level. Is it crazy? You tell me. Well, anyway, all of a sudden, she found out that no, it's not, because she has a spell on her, that she couldn't get pregnant. It wasn't even her. It was him. So he went and he got a couple of things fixed in the United States, and he came back here, and they're working on their baby. So at least they got the truth out, I guess, and at least she feels good now about it, and so does he in some ways. What do you guys think? Leave the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me here with Story Time. Again, I'm Cerise. And guys, I just want to take a moment right now to say thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I just get so humbled and so shocked at how many of you guys do enjoy Story Time. And when I see you guys in the roads here in the Dominican Republic and Sosua, and you guys always talk to me about Story Time, it blesses my heart. It makes me feel so good. It warms my soul. So I just want to say thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please consider. I have all types of random videos about relocating here, restaurants that you can eat at, apartments that are available to you, and of course, airport pickup and drop off, tours around the island, and Story Time. Thanks everyone. Huge hugs, loads of love, and big blesses.